looking just at JH, but both the Bavincks,
Yeah.
why has there been such a resurgence and a desire, especially of these younger people, to learn who these, in some ways, obscure Dutch theologians that most people out there aren't aware of? What is it about them that draws them in?
I mean, I think there's a richness. I suppose both Herman and JH would be considered to be part of, I suppose, what you might call neo-Calvinism. And I mean, there's been a lot written on neo-Calvinism recently, and there's been some key figures. I mean, there's a guy called Grace Atando and Corey Brock who have just done a new handbook to a new introduction to neo-Calvinism. I'm just contributing to a bigger handbook on neo-Calvinism, and a guy called James Eglinton who wrote a big biography of Bavinck, Herman Bavinck. I think there's a richness to the theology that is just very substantial. I mean, it's a rich tradition. And I think when we're talking about issues to do with anthropology and human beings and how we know, these are very learned, biblically well-read people who come from a reformed kind of Calvinistic tradition, but who are willing to engage that reformed theology with, well, what was the modern thinking or modern culture of their day, and that needs to be done again for our generation as well. So I think that's part of it. It's really helping to deal with the thirst that I think people have that we maybe weren't getting from a kind of a thin evangelicalism that really isn't substantial enough, whereas these are deep thinkers but completely rooted in the solas of the Reformation in a way that I think is very attractive. So deep theologically, but deep culturally in understanding the times and knowing what we should do in terms of those men of Issachar in Chronicles. So I think that's partly the reason for it. And also I think obviously in the American context, the Dutch Reformed heritage has been there in certain communities for a long time, less so in the UK, and that's probably why Herman and JH are probably less well known. But I think that's partly one of the reasons.